Thank you so much, Dave. 6 minutes after 8 here at AM 1380, The Answer, and very pleased to have joining us here this morning one of my favorite guests. It's Ted Hayes of the Project 21 Leadership Network, all the way from beautiful Los Angeles, California. How are you, Ted?
I'm doing pretty good, Phil. Good morning, everybody. I'm suffering from a little bit of a laryngitis, so please bear with me.
Well, I'm sorry you're not feeling well. How's the weather down there, by the way?
It's sunny, but it's cold.
Yeah, same thing here. The sky finally cleared up. We got rid of the clouds, and it got bitterly cold. But anyway, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. Ted recently wrote a column that I picked up over at the Daily Column, at the Daily Caller, I should say, and kind of touches on something we discussed last time you were with us, Ted, about. You had made the comment that you had sent a letter to President Trump telling him that he has an opportunity to be the next Abraham Lincoln. And in this new column, you point out that in this February, which is Black History Month, instead of just, and we should, remembering the people who have furthered the black experience in this country, this February we have an opportunity with this president in place to actually improve the fortunes of the black community. And your point, Ted, is that people will just open their hearts and give the guy a shot. Am I correctly summarizing your column?
Yes, sir, absolutely. That's all that we need to do. You know, this man, Donald Trump, which I didn't pay any attention to until he decided to run for president, and he made certain statements that caught my attention, such as he said, I'm going to build a wall. And I know in the back of his mind, he knew that illegal immigration hurts black people, particularly in the urban centers, the so-called sanctuary cities, worse than anybody else. He said that. And he said, black people, I see your condition. I see what you've been living on the Democratic Party and bigot Hillary Clinton for 40, 50, 60 years. What have you got to show for it? He said, look, guys, we Republicans haven't been here for you, but guess what? I'm here now. I want to help you. And no one has spoken to or about black people the way Trump did since Abraham Lincoln himself. I'm talking about a presidential candidate, Democrat or Republican, not since Abraham Lincoln.
Well, I'll tell you, I think was it early in the primary process, I guess, the only other candidate on the GOP side that I saw engage any kind of outreach to the black community was Rand Paul. Went and spoke, was it at Spelman?
Exactly correct. You know, it was during the second. I got a lot of respect for Rand Paul because of this.
Me too. I thought, and at the time I was thinking, okay, the rest of you Republicans, add this to your playbook. Come on.
And you know, during the second debate, Ben Carson was standing right next to Mr. Trump, and Jake Tapper, who was the moderator, brought up the issue of the 14th Amendment, which is, of course, I call anchorism, that is, anchor babies. People saying, you know, the custom that if a woman who is here in this country illegally without official permission, if that woman has a baby within the United States of America's boundary, that child is a citizen based on the 14th Amendment. But Donald Trump said that is wrong, and he doubled down on it. He says, my turn. He just told me otherwise, and you shall soon see. Then on the far end of the stage is where Rand Paul was. And Rand Paul spoke very clear like a bell. He said the 14th Amendment is for black people. It's for the freed slaves and their descendants and no one else.
Yeah.
And of course, people were shocked, and he immediately changed the subject. But the hurting point was this, was our good friend Ben Carson, who is a black man and descendant of chattel slaves. He sat there dumb, did not answer. That was a chance for him to steal the narrative, but he knows nothing about that either. But Rand Paul knew it.
Yeah, and as I said, I really admired the fact that Rand Paul, who was the first among the Republicans to go out and really try and talk with the African American community here and make the case that conservative principles will afford greater economic opportunities for everybody. And Ted, if there is anything that could possibly heal the rift between the races in this country, and I don't care which race you're talking about, it's prosperity.
It helps. It helps because, take for example, and I love Mr. Trump and everyone who's saying let's get more jobs in the community, more jobs in the black community. I'm afraid just getting jobs or making jobs available in the black communities of America is not really going to solve our problem. You see, we have a problem as descendants of chattel slaves we black people have a problem, not with white people. We have a problem with ourselves. Look, the evidence of it. In the last 8 years, what you hear, or the last several years, Black Lives Matter. They yell it with anger at white people, Black Lives Matter. But guess what? They murder black people wholesale as though it was a war. You got to ask yourself the question, wait a minute, why is that? You see, Al Capone's gang in Chicago, they had jobs. They were making money.
Yeah.
Look at we have white-collar crime. You got these guys, multimillionaires, doing well in their life, but look at the crime they commit. So there's a deeper problem that the African-American leadership refuses to deal with about black people.
Well, I would certainly admit that is true. What I wonder, though, Ted, and I don't think there are nearly enough folks in the black community, although we're finding more and more, and Project 21 is one of the places where we find them, who are willing to speak truth to power, if I may use that phrase, within the lefty community, which largely controls black America. But are you starting to sense any turning of the tide in the black community? Are there more people starting to wake up to the fact that Democrats are not doing them any favors?
Yes, they are. You know, we black folks, though, we've always known that. You see, I had a conversation with a very high-profile female black congresswoman several years ago in her office here in L.A., and we talked about this Republican, Democrat treatment of black people. And I talked with another congressman from Chicago, and they admit, yes, the Democratic Party is no good for black people. They know that the Democrats held us as slaves for 245 years. They know that the Democrats created the Ku Klux Klan.
Well, then why are they still so beholden to Democrats?
Because what happened was, as Maxine, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We knew who you meant.
All right. Anyway, I'm not speaking any negative towards her because I do love Maxine Waters. But I digress. The point is, she put her head in her hands and she said, "Yeah, Ted, but you're right. But we cannot trust the Republicans." And at first, I didn't accept that at first. But then later, as I began to look into Republicancy going on in our country right now, I realized Maxine Waters was right. You cannot trust the Republicans pre-Donald Trump. I'm hoping we can trust him. But that was a problem. And also, you got to think about this, too. We black folks have always been big government people. Think about it. It was big Abraham Lincoln that got us out of slavery. It was a big government that put down the Ku Klux Klan. It was a big government that put down the violation of our civil rights. And so in 1965, when King and Roy Wilkins and the Negro leaders at that time did not really know how to fix the problems in the black community having nothing to do with white people, he gave in to the socialist agenda, and that created the war on poverty, the New Deal of the New Society of Lyndon Johnson, which was the thing that totally devastated the black community to this day.
We'll have more with Ted Hayes from Project 21 right after this. We've got to catch a break here on the Phil Cowan program. I always enjoy chatting with Ted. 8:15. Happy Friday.